Hey, I'm Lauren Abramson. I'm the founding director of the Community Conferencing Center in Baltimore, and my feet are wet. So, The Wire has told the world one story about Baltimore, right? About crime and corruption and how immoral the war on drugs really is. Well, I'm here to tell you the flip side story of Baltimore, about how 8,000 Baltimore residents have safely resolved their own crimes and conflicts in their own neighborhoods using something called community conferencing. And by way of history, I learned about community conferencing from my colleagues in Australia. They learned about it from the Maori in New Zealand, so I'd like to say it went from New Zealand to Australia to Baltimore in a straight line. And so now for 13 years, the Community Conferencing Center has been using it as an alternative to court, getting referrals from neighborhood schools, the courts, juvenile justice. So what is a community conference? It's a voluntary process, and we bring together the victims and the offenders and their respective supporters and family members, and they sit in a circle with a facilitator, and they do a really radical thing. They talk to each other. All right? So we give them a structure to do this, which is really important. And that structure is for them to talk about three questions. First, they hear what happened from the people who've been involved in doing it. Then everybody in the circle gets a chance to say how they were affected by what happened. And then the last thing is then the group collectively decides what can be done to repair the harm and prevent this from happening again. This is we do, right? Yeah. So let me give you a small, true story about a community conference where two kids were arrested in Baltimore for stealing M&Ms from the convenience store. Not something that kids in Hereford are usually arrested for. But anyhow, so the manager says that he'll participate in the conference, but he never leaves the store. So we have to have the conference in the store, and there's 15 people, so they all decide that they're going to have the conference in the parking lot of the 7-Eleven. All right? And so the boys start off and they tell the story about how they walked in the store and the manager was on his cell phone, very distracted, talking his language, and so they stole the candy. And in the course of everybody talking, the manager was really touched by what the family members were saying because they all apologized to him. And then one of the mothers starts laying in on the kids and says, you know, this is the only store within walking distance where I can get milk and bread, because it's a food desert. And if you guys keep this up, the store's going to close and we're all going to suffer. And then one of the kids' uncles gets really emotional and says, you know, you stand to be the first male in our family to graduate from high school. And if you keep this up, it's not going to happen. And I want to be really proud of you when that does happen. So by the end, the boys apologize. They work out an agreement that's written down. And before the end, you know, as they're all breaking up, the manager invites everybody into the store for tasty cakes and coffee. And before they do that, he turns to the kids and says, I guess I owe you each a pack of M&Ms, huh? But really, this is not about a lot of feel-good stories, as much as they do feel good. 8,000 Baltimore residents have safely resolved their own crimes using this process. 95% of the time when they come together, they come up with an effective agreement. There's 60% lower recidivism when they do this than if they go to court, and it's all at 1/10 the cost of court. So, yeah. So we're really showing the world that we can have justice that holds offenders accountable, that's fair for everybody, and it's saving the government money at the same time, right? But this isn't just about a program. This is really about changing our culture from one that's really focused on punishment and prisons to one that's focused on accountability and learning how to take care of each other better. We do. It's all about we do. So we're always trying to spread the word. It's hard to change the culture. We wear our t-shirts around anywhere. Even the cicadas are down for peace. So help us spread the word. And I'm just really proud of Baltimore for the courage and the compassion and the responsibility that victims and offenders have taken, even in the land of the wire.